Okay, for lipid metabolism, once we take or eat dietary triacylglycerol, let's recall that the triacylglycerol will have three carbon atoms here. Tapos, we have here the ester linkage. Tapos, meron tayong fatty acid here. Okay, fatty acids. So, that's the triacylglycerol. So, once we eat dietary fats or lipids in the mouth, the saliva does not have any effect on the digestion. So, unlike kanina na, doon sa carbohydrate metabolism na saliva, amylase, meron siyang effect sa ating carbohydrates, pero sa ating triacylglycerol, wala. Wala siyang effect. Rather, during digestion in the mouth, parang breaking down lang ng physical breakdown lang ng mga food molecules. Okay? So, after the mouth, we have here the stomach. So, what happens in the stomach, the churning action will produce the fat, small fat droplets or known as the chyme. And of course, in the stomach, meron tayong gastric lipases. These are enzymes that could hydrolyze some of the triacylglycerol, but this only is 10% of them. Okay, so when we say chyme is a thick semi-liquid material made up of partially digested food and a gastric secretions. Okay, so in the stomach, we are now, after with all this churning action and gastric lipases action, ang papasok sa small intestine would be the fat droplets in chyme and some monoacylglycerol. Monoacyl, ibig sabihin, kasi di ba dito, triacyl. Pag sinabing triacyl, we have here three oxygens, the glycerol will have three fatty acid na substituent. Pero pagdating kay monoacyl, dahil mabre-break ang ating, mabre-break na itong attachment ng fatty acids, okay? Kaya magiging monoacyl na lang siya. Isa na lang yung fatty acid na naka-attach kay glycerol. Okay? So, that's monoacyl glycerol. So, matatanggal na tong fatty acids na yan. Dalawang fatty acids. Okay? And these monoacyl glycerols and fat droplets will then enter the small intestine, and from there's the presence of bile, which will solubilize these fat droplets, and with the presence of pancreatic lipases, that monoacyl glycerol will be produced. So, kasi nga, some pa lang dito eh. So, yung remaining ng 10% of the triacyl glycerol will be then converted into the monoacyl glycerol, which forms the fatty acid micelles. Sorry. Okay, going back. So, when we say fatty acid micelle, these are micelle in which fatty acids or monoacyl glycerols and some bile are present. Okay, so after that, these monoacyl glycerols in micelle will then be repacked in the intestinal cell. They will be repackaged into triacyl. So from monoacyl, okay, yung isang fatty acid na lang ang na-attach dun sa ating triacylglycerol, dun sa ating glycerol rather, marirepackage sila, babalik sila into triacylglycerol, in which form the chylomicrons. Okay? Pag sinabi natin chylomicrons, these are lipoprotein that transport triacylglycerol from intestinal cell via the lymphatic cell to the bloodstream. Okay, so from that intestinal cell, the triacylglycerol now, no longer the monoacyl, triacylglycerol in the chylomicrons will then, will go now to the lymphatic system, which they are transported to the bloodstream, and then from that, the triacylglycerol in the bloodstream will now be hydrolyzed. So, sa bloodstream pa lang siya, fully hydrolyzed into free fatty acids. And therefore, that would be the production of free fatty acids in the bloodstream. So, na-breakdown na fully hydrolyzed na siya, wala na siya dun sa, kasi sa triacylglycerol, we have the 3 carbon atoms here, and then we have here the fatty acids. So once they are repackaged and then moved into the bloodstream, this bond between the glycerol and the fatty acids will be broken, kaya magkakaroon na tayo ng free fatty acids sa ating bloodstream. Okay? Now, the fatty acids and the glycerol produce the fatty acid and glycerol hydrolysis products from the triacylglycerol hydrolysis is then absorbed. So, di ba na ni-breakdown na sila. So, ma-absorb na sila ng cell in the body and are either broken down to acetyl-CoA for energy storage. Kasi remember that glycerol has 3 carbon atoms, and then the fatty acids could be, meron tayong small chain, long chain, and medium chain. So, marami pa ring series of carbon atoms dyan. But they could be broken down into acetyl so that they could be used in the Krebs cycle. And kung hindi naman sila kailangan or hindi naman sila mako-convert as ATP during the Krebs cycle, then they could be stored as a lipids. So, kung hydrolyze na sila, pwede na naman sila ma-repackage as triacylglycerol, and they could be stored in adipose tissues where ito na nga, there are free triacylglycerols. So, yun yung mga body fats. Okay? Adipocytes is the triacylglycerol storing cell, and adipose tissue is the tissue that contains large number of adipocyte cells. Okay? So, yan na yung mga body fats. Now,